Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. Ted Lasso Season 3, the final season, will return to Apple TV Plus on March 15th. So we're going to break down everything you need to know before returning to Richmond.
Come on, Richmond!
If this is your first time stepping onto the pitch, Theodore Ted Lasso, played by Jason Sudeikis, is a former American football coach hired by AFC Richmond's new sole owner, Rebecca Welton. One catch, though, he's never coached soccer. Sorry, futbol.
Football is life.
That's the point of the show. She wishes to burn this team to the ground as revenge against her ex, unfaithful husband, Rupert.
Surprise!
Rupert.
The press, the team, and the town are all baffled, if not pissed off, about this choice of hiring an American for a head manager.
F***ing yank.
So it's no surprise when Ted and Coach Beard, played by co-creator Brendan Hunt, are given the side-eye when introducing themselves to the team. Some take a liking to them, though. For instance, Nathan Shelley, Richmond's kit man, Keely Jones, a model and Jamie Tartt's girlfriend, more on him in a bit, and Higgins, the newly promoted director of football operations. Higgins unwillingly acts at first as a sort of henchman for Rebecca.
It'll hurt our chances. We're on the brink of relegation.
Just do it, Higgins.
Oh, f*** off!
Ted's positivity soon proves contagious, even to Rebecca. Much to her chagrin, he insists on having biscuits with the boss every morning to bond with her. Trent Krem, a reporter for The Independent, can't help but root for him after spending a day following Ted around. Also, Roy Kent, a veteran box-to-box midfielder and captain of Richmond, played by writer Brett Goldstein, slowly lets Ted's influence leak in when he puts an end to Jamie picking on Nate.
So when they pick on Nate, and you laugh,
Yeah.
they think it's okay.
Now, Jamie Tartt is a harder nut to crack than Rebecca. Young, talented, and vain, Jamie's rise to fame makes him a poor team player and a bully. Besides Nate, Jamie's main target is Sam, a young Nigerian right back. Ted lifts Sam's spirits by having the team chip in for treats from his home country and throwing a birthday party after a game. Jamie does not participate. During the team's charity benefit, Ted has Jamie and Roy sit together to work through their issues. Sort of works. The one relationship Ted can't seem to fix is with his wife, Michelle. Season 1, Episode 5, Tan Lines, delves into why Ted accepted a job across the pond. His marriage is falling apart. Ted invites Michelle and their son Henry to Richmond in a last-ditch attempt to work on their marriage. But reality sets in for Ted when his wife just doesn't love him anymore and he must let her go.
I promised myself I would never quit anything in my life.
You're not quitting, Ted. You're just letting me go.
But they finally get a breakthrough with Jamie when a forward player named Danny Rojas joins the team after recovering from an injury. He's a powerful player, an excellent shot, and incredibly enthusiastic.
Football is life!
When Danny injures himself on the pitch, the team believes it's because of the cursed treatment room. According to May, the owner of the pub, the Crown and Anchor that Ted and Beard frequent, the origins of this curse extend back to November 1914. Posters around Richmond invited men to try out for the team when they were really being recruited to fight the war. A ceremony is held where the staff and players put objects that have significant meaning to them in the container to burn and cleanse the room. Jamie even joins in. As the fire burns on the pitch, Danny arrives cured. The team seems to be on the up with two aces in Danny and Jamie until Rebecca transfers Jamie back to Manchester City the next day.
With him and Danny, we had two aces, Rebecca.
I thought that was what you wanted.
Yeah, well, you thought wrong.
She's still on a mission to ruin Rupert's legacy. Until now, she's attempted to garner lousy press for Ted and hired a photographer to take suggested photos of Ted with Keely. However, Keely also had a lasso effect on Rebecca. She comes into the office to girl talk with her, giving her tips for looking fabulous on the red carpet and become drinking buddies after a charity event. Rebecca eventually even offers Keely the position of the club's manager of marketing and PR. Keely isn't the only one getting promoted at Richmond. Now, lovingly called Nate the Great by Ted, Nathan gets promoted to assistant coach. Throughout the first season, Nate has offered strategy plays such as using Jamie as a decoy and giving a rather epic pregame speech at Liverpool, which leads to their victory. Nate receives a surprise ceremony from the team and a coach whistle.
By the power vested in me by the Associated Football Club of Richmond, I now pronounce you Coach Nate.
All comes crashing down for Rebecca when Keely discovers that she was the one who hired the photographer to spy on her and Ted. Having dumped Jamie at a charity event, Keely began a relationship with Roy shortly after the game at Liverpool. While on their first date, they unknowingly run into the same photographer taking paparazzi photos of them. Roy steals the footage and gives it to Keely as a souvenir, and now Keely offers Rebecca an ultimatum.
Either you come clean to Ted or I'll do it for you.
This proves hard for Rebecca as she's grown quite fond of Ted, significantly after he helped put Rupert in his place at the pub in a game of darts. Rupert had married a young Rebecca and bought the remaining team shares under her name. Now his new wife owns 2.9% of the team. Ted wagers that if he wins, Rupert stays out of the owner's box, and he wins.
Barbecue sauce.
Rebecca was even there for Ted after his panic attack at a karaoke lounge after their win at Liverpool, but she eventually faces the music and confesses everything she did to Ted.
Ted, I'm so sorry.
I forgive you.
My arm started to get...
Aww. Yeah, I know, right? Season 1 closes out on the theme of hope. Appropriately titled The Hope That Kills You, tests every character's faith in themselves and the team. The match against Manchester City determines their standing in the Premier League, and with Jamie Tartt now their star player on that other team, the chances look grim. Ted knows that if they lose, it could mean the loss of his and Coach Beard's jobs. The match also signals the likely end for Roy Kent, who's being benched for being subpar, so he passes the captain position on to Isaac. During the second half, Roy is given one more shot on the pitch and sneaks up behind Jamie to kick the ball out from under him. This crucial move results in a rather nasty fall. It's clearly now all over for Roy. The crowd lifts his spirits with his chant as he hobbles back to the locker room. A new play called the Lasso Special is orchestrated. It's designed to resemble an American football play and trick the opposing team, which leads to Dani Rojas tying the game. However, this excitement is short-lived as Manchester City scores a winning point thanks to Jamie finally learning to pass. Richmond has lost. Ever the optimist, Ted uses the loss as a teaching moment for his team.
Sam, do you remember what animal has the shortest memory?
A goldfish.
Let's be sad now. Let's be sad together. And then we can be a gosh darn goldfish.
Ted searches for Jamie to congratulate him on a good game, but instead witnesses Jamie being scolded by his father. Later, as Jamie boards the team bus, he's stopped by Coach Beard, who hands him a tiny envelope with a note from Ted, congratulating him on a pass with a miniature green soldier, which Ted used throughout the season as a token of encouragement. Relegation is now upon Richmond. Ted heads up to Rebecca's office to resign, but she insists that they still have work to do as the club can get promoted next season.
Get ourselves a promotion, which looks good on any resume. Then we come back to this league and we do something that no one believes we could ever do. Win the whole f***ing thing.
Season 2 starts with AFC Richmond actively working on getting themselves back into the Premier League after being relegated. Futbol is Live star Dani Rojas is up for a penalty kick that, if made, will break Richmond out of their 7 straight tie games. But the ball hits and kills their mascot, Earl.
He did what?
Did I say kill? No, sorry, I meant injure. Earl's fine. He just went to a farm in Scotland to play with sheep.
Oh, I love sheep.
So this incident, unfortunately, brings out performance anxiety in Dani. Ted and Beard call this the yips, which leads to Higgins hiring Dr. Sharon Fieldstone, played by Sarah Niles. Ted isn't the most enthusiastic about bringing in a therapist, but tries to make friends with Sharon as he did with Rebecca. It does not have the same effect.
There you go.
That's very thoughtful, Coach Lasso. But I don't eat sugar.
Really? Wow. I've never met someone that doesn't eat sugar. Only heard about them. And they all live in this godless place called Santa Monica.
Roy Kent has retired from football and is coaching his niece Phoebe's football team. Keeley believes that he should be a pundit for a football analysis show instead.
No!
Meanwhile, Rebecca is trying to reignite her love life and dating someone subpar, which Roy calls out.
Don't you dare settle for 5.
Jamie Tartt has left Man City and joined a reality show, Love Island, but he is eliminated. His ego gets even more deflated when his manager tells him that no team wants him. With nowhere else to go, Jamie approaches Ted to talk about getting back to Richmond after being counseled by Keeley. Initially, he is refused due to concern about morale within the team, Sam especially.
No teammate has ever made me feel as bad about myself as Jamie did.
But Ted realizes later that they need a player of Jamie's caliber and invites him back. Jamie attempts to clear the air with the team by apologizing.
You called me a jaundiced worm.
You hit on my mom. In front of my dad.
Mec, tu t'es lâché une caisse dans la main et tu me l'as foutu dans la gueule.
He said that you cupped a fart and put it in his face. It sounds better in French.
That went well. Ted believes that it's time for the team to meet his alter ego, Led Tasso, to get the team to transfer their anger to him instead of Jamie. Led is aggressive and violent toward the players, which is more off-putting than intimidating.
Now listen up, you little turd birds!
After practice, Sam gets some stills from his shoot with Dubai Air, which sponsors the club. He sends a pic to his father, who notifies him that the airline is owned by Cerithium Oil, which is responsible for polluting widespread damage in his native home country. Sam then goes to Rebecca to ask to be disassociated from the sponsor. Roy caves and tries to be a football pundit. So he sits on this panel filled with real football commentators and the former manager of AFC Richmond, who Rebecca fired in the first season. His no BS approach is a hit and brings a bigger audience to the show. At the game, Sam covers the Dubai Air logo on his jersey with black masking tape as a sign of protest. He does not ask the rest of the team to join, but Jamie counters.
You're a team, man. Gotta wear the same kit.
The controversial stand might affect AFC Richmond's financial condition, but Rebecca stands behind her players and tells Dubai to sod off. Luckily, Keeley has started working with a new dating app, Banter, that will replace Dubai Air. She asks everyone to download it, and Rebecca begins hitting it off with a mystery man on the app. When Roy returns to Sky Sports News, he comes to a realization.
We're not in the locker rooms with them. We're not on the pitch with them. We can't look them in the eyes and encourage them to be better than they ever thought they were capable of being. I'm sorry, fellas. This isn't what I'm meant to do.
True to rom-com montage fashion, Roy begins a journey back to Richmond.
Hello, Coach. Really glad you decided.
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at coach.
During the match against Tottenham with a score of 1-0 in favor of AFC Richmond, Ted experiences another panic attack and leaves the pitch.
Lasso appears to be leaving. I know that run. That's the run of a man who just ate a bad fish pie. Chris, is there a good fish pie?
This begins Nate's descent into the dark side. After avoiding it all season, Ted finally decides to make an appointment with Dr. Sharon. Taking an actual session proves tricky as he tries diverting his mind from talking about his feelings. Dr. Sharon and Ted grow closer after she gets hit by a car bicycling to work. As Ted walks her home, Sharon opens herself up to Ted and exposes her own vulnerability, hoping to lead by example.
Coach Lasso?
My father killed himself when I was 16.
I'm so sorry, Ted.
And look, I don't know if that's where maybe some of my issues stem from.
No, it definitely is.
Right, no, that makes sense.
After Sam receives news that the oil company harming Nigeria has been ordered to stop operating, he asks Rebecca on Banter to meet, and she accepts. However, they still don't know that they're talking to each other. Sam decides to get his once-a-year Isaac cut for the occasion. When Sam and Rebecca find out they've been talking to each other, Rebecca is hesitant at first, but eventually caves in and begins dating Sam secretly. And also, things are not going smoothly for Keeley and Roy this season. Now that they're both working together and living together, she's starting to feel like they're becoming like Aiden and Carrie from Sex and the City. She's even watching their blow up in the scene where she finally confronts Roy. After losing the match 5-0 to Manchester City at Wembley Stadium, Jamie's dad comes to the dressing room, demeans the team, and mocks his son in front of everyone to see.
Twaddling about with a bunch of amateurs. No offence, no offence. Huh? Don't turn your back on me, you pussy.
The topic of fathers and sons is touched upon heavily towards the middle to latter half of the season. From Jamie's toxic father to Nate's attempts to please his father, to Roy acting as a father to his niece, to Ted's trauma with his dad's suicide. When Rebecca's dad passed away, Rebecca reveals that she knew that her father cheated. Ted still manages to make it to the funeral where he encourages a sing-along.
Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around to search you.
Rebecca's sorrow and hatred toward her dad make her realize that maybe she is not ready for a relationship, and she breaks it off with Sam.
I think I need to figure out why. I understand.
Now this seems like perfect timing as the billionaire Edwin Akufo arrives to buy Sam's contract. He wants to create a new African football club and Sam would be a part of it, but no amount of courtship could sway Sam from leaving, so he turns him down.
I don't believe my time here at Richmond is over, and for that reason I have to stay. I hope you can understand.
You Nigerian mother.
Whoa.
Dr. Sharon's last day approaches and the team practices a bye 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 song. But she ducks out, leaving everyone a note which upsets Ted.
You, more than anyone in the world, knows how I feel when I get abandoned. And you just left.
They go out for one more drink at the pub where he has May give Sharon a note from Ted that reads, "Goodbye."
Son of a bitch stole my move.
Thanks to Nate, no longer great, the news of Ted having a panic attack during the match is out there. Now Trent Krim texted Ted to let him know what was coming as a favor. Ted faces the music with his team and talks to them about it.
To quote the great UCLA college basketball coach, John Obi-Wan Gandalf, "It is our choices, gentlemen, that show what we truly are."
He encourages the team to avoid hunting for the snitch to protect Nate. And Beard already knows, because Beard knows everything. Keeley gets terrific news that the investors of Banter will finance Keeley's very own PR firm, which means that Keeley will be leaving AFC Richmond. Also, she was part of a feature for Vanity Fair with pictures taken with both her and Roy. But when the magazine's released, it's only her that is featured. Now, Roy is happy for her, but it makes him question whether there's a place for him in her life.
She looks so great. On her own. Without me.
Later, Roy attempts to bring them closer by planning a 6-week vacation for him and Keeley, but she can't go as she'll be busy with her new firm.
Are we breaking up?
No. Why would you say that? I love you. We'll be fine.
The team and the fans are ready for Richmond's final and decider match. During the first half, the team is down by 2 goals, failing to execute Nate's false 9 formations. But the team decides to believe in Nate's false 9 for the rest of the game and to try to get themselves a tie for the promotion. This frustrates Nate and finally leads Ted to confront him over his anger.
You made me feel like I was the most important person in the whole world. And then you abandoned me.
Ted attempts to apologize, but it falls on deaf ears. Nate finds it agonizing that Ted will blame him when the team fails to win with Nate's false 9. Except the team does not fail. They execute Nate's false 9. Jamie gets a penalty kick and then gives it to Danny Rojas, so his journey comes full circle.
Football is life.
Richmond has advanced to the Premier League.
Yeah, Richmond, let's go.
Come on, Richmond, high five. After the match, Nate leaves without telling anyone and rips up the Believe sign. Ted takes a press conference addressing the Independent article.
Well, my overall concern about the way we discuss and deal with mental health in athletics.
Now, as Ted leaves for the evening, he runs into Trent Krim, who is now just Independent, after telling his boss that he revealed his source to Ted.
Trent Krim, Independent. Yeah.
We cut to 2 months later and we see Rupert, who has bought West Ham United, and he's hired Nate to manage West Ham for the next season. So that's everything you need to know before Ted Lasso Season 3. Is there anything that I left out that you want to tell me? Let me know down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.